Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a retry of making my first What If video, and this is going to be what if Deku was a villain. And yeah, let's get into this. So we start off as when Deku was 4 years old, going to the quirk doctor to get his quirk diagnosed. And when he was told that he was quirkless, he was more heartbroken than in canon, pretty much abandoning his own emotions just to try and get by without struggling. Because whenever he would go to kindergarten, he would be more harshly bullied by Bakugo and his gang. Until one day when Deku snapped, he decided to fight back, severely injuring Bakugo and his groupies. Whenever the day was over, Deku was pulled into the principal's office and was given a stern lecture of what and not to do that. And he spoke up saying, "So I'm not supposed to defend myself when getting bullied." The principal was shocked to know that he was being spoken up to by a kindergartner of all people. So the principal, being angry, sent him home with a suspension letter to his mom. When he gets home, and in this what if, Inko is more crushed than in canon, so she is a raging alcoholic. Sorry, Inko. But she's a raging alcoholic and she takes drugs to keep herself calm. So when Deku comes home and gives her the letter, she was mad and she was taking her anger out on Deku, beginning the series of him being beaten. This is gonna be a I would say a 13 plus, until maybe noted later, but so far 13 plus. But after his mother's beating, he would just injuredly limp to his room, slam the door closed, and would just fall on the bed and pass out. This went on for years and years and years until we get to middle school, where canon now, start of the anime, 14-year-old Deku, 14 or 15-year-old Deku, severely beaten. His hair is more black and red due to the amount of blood, and just the amount of blood, and he dyed his hair to change it to get rid of the resemblance of his mother's green hair. And he came into class. It was the last day of school. He came into class, sat down in his seat, and just stared forward, motionless, just cut off from the rest of the world and his own thoughts. Bakugo was shouting at him, but he just ignored Bakugo and just sat there, staring forward. Everyone looked at him and thought that he was strange, a weirdo, a freak. And these words ring throughout Deku's head, saying, just bringing his depression even more, because he was already depressed enough without having to work. Teacher walks in and says, "Alright students, I know you want to be heroes, but," and then he just throws the papers up in the air and he says, "I already know where you want to go. You guys want to all go to UA." Everyone starts using their quirks and screaming while Deku just blankly stares forward. The teacher says, "Alright, well, we have a couple students. We have 2 students that want to go to UA. Bakugo Koski," as he would give a spiel, and the teacher would look at his paper and give a sigh and a grunt, and he would say, "Oh yeah, and Izuku Midoriya, you want to go to UA too, don't you?" And Izuku just sat there. Everyone just stared at him. They didn't laugh. They didn't say anything because they knew something bad might happen if they did, or something else might happen. So they didn't do anything because they were worried he might flip out, break. So they just sat there and stared. Bakugo did his usual spiel to Deku as he would do in canon, but this time, instead of blowing up his notebook, Deku never had a notebook. He didn't care about heroes anymore. If he wasn't going to be saved himself from teachers and normal civilians, how was a hero going to save him? That was his mindset throughout the entire time of his life. From the time he was told he was quirkless to every single day his mother beating him down. And now Deku decided to take the shortcut under the bridge as per se canon, until the sludge villain comes out of the sewer saying the same old spiel. Hey kid, I like your body. Or hey kid, I need your body to get away from All Might. I didn't know he was in town. As he would lunge at Deku, and Deku, with a dead look in his eyes, just accepted death at that point. He just wanted to be free. Just wanted to be happy. As All Might would rush on the corner, saying, I am here, and then give a Detroit smash, sending the sludge villain everywhere. As Deku would look up, after being laid on the ground for minutes, to see All Might standing above him, he would ask All Might, is it still possible for me to become a hero even without a quirk? All Might would say, and All Might in this is more crude, so All Might would just look at him, just stare at him for a minute, and say, no, it's not possible, kid. If you want to help out society, become a cop. They do more than heroes, especially since most of them are quirkless. And he would jump off, leaving Deku with tears in his eyes. That was his last chance. All Might was his last hope, his last piece of humanity. So, as Deku walked the rest of the way home with his head down, the sludge villain incident didn't happen, because he never grabbed onto him. He never got to see All Might's small form, or Small Might. So he just walked in the door. His mom, beat him again, but this time she got more violent, throwing an alcohol bottle at him, shattering it all over his head. So this time he's had enough. He lost it. At that moment in time, he went to the kitchen, grabbed a knife, looked at it, gave a big sigh of relief, as his mother didn't know what he was doing. He walked up behind his mother, put his hand over her mouth, and stabbed her right in the neck. The blood ran through the knife and down her neck and her body. Sun splashed on his face as he would look down at his mother with some dead look in his eyes and saying, I'm sorry, mother, but this time you've pushed me too far. This time you did this to me, so I had to get you back, but I hope you know I will still love you. But I cannot forgive what you did to me. As she would let her body fall down to the floor, he would just look down on her, with blood flowing all over the floor, blood rushing on his face and the knife. He would look at his knife in his hands, and he would think to himself, that felt kind of good. I wonder what would happen if I did this to someone else. If I could make someone else feel the pain that I felt for so many years. As he would just put the knife into the kitchen sink, wash the blood off, and wash his face off as well. Leaving his mother's dead body on the floor, just thinking of another plan, what to do, how to get rid of her body, how to clean up the mess that he's caused. So later that night, after he's cleaned up the mess that he left on the floor of his mother's dead body and her blood flowing all over the place, he just laid on the couch looking at the ceiling, thinking to himself, well, there goes my plan of being a hero. Might as well become an outlaw to despise heroes. Deku then thought to himself, hey, why not try and make others feel this sensation? Make some people feel the sensation that I felt. As he would pack up some clothes, go to his mother's safe in her room, open up the safe, grab all the money in there, everything he would need to survive for a while, grab all his mother's bank information, and with her bank account still linked to the debit card because they don't know that she's dead. With a lot of money on him now, he can finally get a place of his own or move to some other city. As Deku would wander the streets for days upon days until about 2.5 months has passed. Deku would learn how to fight, how to survive, how to live. Deku had lost the feeling of hunger for normal food, and he would just eat anything he could until he came across a man in a suit with a black mist body and an iron plated neck brace around him with yellow glowing eyes. The man looked down at Deku as he said, why don't you come with me? I can give you a place to live, a place to be happy. As Deku would look up at the man, as he would say, why do you want me? As the man would say, I have a feeling you could be used for some good talents against people. And as he said people, Deku freaked out, saying, I am not a person anymore. I am not someone you can just talk to anymore. In order to talk to me, you have to be on my level, or you have to be someone that understands how I feel. As Deku would just break down and just start crying right down at the man's feet. The man would open up a gate right next to him and say, come on, let's get you inside cleaned up and get you something to eat and relax. As Deku was hesitant at first, the man showed him that there's nothing wrong in there. As he would step through the portal, or the gate, with the man in the suit. And later on, Shigaraki would walk in the door to the bar as he would see this kid sleeping on the couch in the bar. He would walk over to the kid and ask him what's wrong. As Deku would jump, having a knife around his waist, would go to stab Shigaraki in the hand on the table, leaving a knife in his hands, holding it down on the table as he would grab another knife out of his pocket to stab it. As Kirigiri would warp the other knife into the table next to Shigaraki's hand, telling him not to do it. He's here because he's a part of the family. As Deku would pull the knife out of his hand, saying he's sorry, he just doesn't like being talked to relatively as a friend. Shigaraki was surprised to know that this kid was able to catch him off guard so easily, and he had talent. So, the master would go onto the TV. I'm so sorry about the yawning, it's really late and I'm tired, so. As the man on the TV would ask who the kid is, Kirigiri would say, I found him in an alleyway eating something out of a trash can, trying to survive. As All For One would say, Kirigiri, bring him to me. I want to talk to this person alone. As Deku walked over to Kirigiri, and they just warped into where All For One was standing. Still being helped by medical recovery. The doctor was there checking up on him, and as he left the room, All For One would ask, what is your name, kid? Zuku Midori would, as Deku would say his name, Zuku. My name is Zuku Midoriya. And all for one thought that he was interesting, not showing fear in front of him. As he would say, "What's your quirk, kid? Because you had some pretty fast reflexes there to stab him in the hand and grab the little knife out of your pocket." As Deku would hear quirk, he was freaking out and he was getting angry as he would yell, "So everyone in this society sees quirks as a thing to survive, huh? I survived on my own for 2.5 months without a quirk, and I learned to survive." As All for One would calm Deku down, saying, "I'm sorry I asked." As Deku would say, "It's fine, just don't ask me that again." As Deku would proceed to walk up to the man, asking him, "What do you want from me?" As All for One would say, "I want you to join our league, and if you want, I can give you some quirks." As Deku would be ecstatic to hear that he can get quirks finally, but he was hesitant at first, asking, "What do you want from me? Why do you want me to join you? Why? Just why?" As tears would roll down Deku's face, as All for One would pat him on the shoulders, saying, "Don't worry about it, kid. I just really see some talent in you. And I feel you could have some really good uses in this franchise for murder." As All for One would say murder, it just had flashbacks in Deku's head of him murdering his mother and other people just to get food and money to survive on the streets. Deku, and this is a filler, all the money Deku had, he had spent it on lessons for fighting martial arts at a gym membership to build more muscle onto his body to survive. Speed training, strength training, endurance training, body training, anything you can think of, he put himself through, and he has scars all over his body to show the proof. The amount of effort that Deku would go through to survive and get revenge on anyone that wrongs him, to get back at anyone and anything that has a quirk, anyone that thinks they're above him. Mainly heroes, villains, vigilantes. Anyone that thinks they're above him, he will take them down. So as Deku would look at All for One and would say, what's the catch?" As All for One would say, "You're very perceptive, kid. I like it." As he would tell him the drawbacks of being in the league, which were to always listen to Shigaraki. Deku would be hesitant, but he would ask, "I'll only join if I don't have to listen to him, and if I can only listen to Kirigiri." All for One was surprised because he can tell that the look in his eyes were dead. He had no emotions, and he thought, if Kirigiri can bring those back, maybe he can have more fears of her rage, and maybe we can control that. So All for One said, "Fine, you only listen to Kirigiri now." And as All for One would say, "Now what kind of quirks do you want, kid?" As Deku thought for a moment, he said, "I only want 3 quirks." All for One was questioning what quirks he wanted, why he wanted 3 quirks, and just 3 certain specific ones. As Deku would say, "I want to make sure I can survive even longer, even if the league falls, even if I'm captured or beaten to death again. I want to come back and survive." All for One was shocked to know that this kid thought so far ahead of his plan. Even if he does run into All Might, he has a plan to get out of it. even if he's beaten to a pulp. So, All for One gave off a little chuckle and said, "Alright, what kind of course do you want?" Deku would say, "I want regeneration." As All for One would say, "Okay, done. What's the next one?" Deku would then say, "Teleportation." And he would say, "Like Kirigiri's?" And he would say, "No." And Deku would give a description of imagining the place you have been or the places you want to be at, and you could just instantly be there. As All for One would say, "Okay, done. It'll be hard to get that quirk, but I may be able to get it." And he asks, "Okay, what's the last quirk he wants?" As Deku would say the quirk he wanted, All for One was shocked to hear what he said. As Deku would say, "The last quirk I want is a body enhancement quirk. Not just some weak 2 times to 4 times enhancement quirk. I want one that'll boost my normal attributes by 30 times to 40 times the amount they are now. My reflexes, speed, strength, endurance, everything." As All for One would be hesitant at first to realize, then to realize that he was serious and that he can handle it if he needs to. He said, "Fine. Your regeneration might come in handy with it. So, good thinking, kid." As he would just give these quirks to Deku. Deku felt immense pain. And he just got on his knees and his hands, just screaming in agony. And he just passed out. All for One called in Kirigiri to take him to the bar and to set him on the couch to get him some rest. And All for One told Kirigiri that he'll be listening to you, not Shigaraki. As Kirigiri was confused but surprised at the same time, thinking that maybe he has a chance to give this kid something that he possibly couldn't have as a kid himself. So as they got back to the bar, Kirigiri set Deku down on the couch. Shigaraki asked what that was all about, and Kirigiri gave Shigaraki an explanation. And Shigaraki was angry, but confused as well as just annoyed that this punk thought that he can get more orders from his master, just to place him under Kirigiri's watch instead of his own. So, months passed and it's the entrance of UA. Deku never went, he never tripped, he stays at the League of Villains base. So, Deku was hanging out with Kirigiri because he's grown quite an attachment for Kirigiri. But this time, as Kirigiri and Deku were talking, someone walked through the door with 2 people behind him. Deku got in his fighting stance, getting his regeneration and his body enhancement quirk ready, as Kirigiri would calm down Deku, saying that he's not here to fight, he's the informant. As Deku would calm down, just going back to his usual, just slumping over the counter of the bar. As Kirigiri would ask what's going on, why is there more people behind you, as the informant would say, "These 2 people here want to join, and maybe you can find some use out of them." As the first one would pop out behind him saying, "Hi, my name is Himiko Toga. Nice to meet you." As she would run over to Deku saying, "I like the way you look. Do you think I can get some blood out of you?" As Deku would just give her a little look of sadness and just curiosity, as he would just say, "Sure." as she would say, "Great," and just, you know, shove a knife into his arm as it was just laying on the counter, and she would just start licking the blood off of his arm and off his knife. As Deku would just say, "Ow," with no emotion into it, as his arm would heal. And she's like, and Toga would say, so you have regeneration, huh? That's nice. I like a person that can keep their blood in them and that lets me take it out as long as I want." And she would hug onto Deku and would say, "You're mine now." As Dobby would stick her on the back saying, "Yeah, she's totally crazy. The name is Dobby. My quirk is cremation. Pretty much my blue flames cremate anything they touch." As Kirigiri would introduce him to Deku, as Deku would just give a little wave of hello to Dobby. Dobby, not being interested, just went to the couch, just sat down and started watching TV. Toga, still clinging on to Deku, started to notice how cute he was. She started to cling on to him more and hugging him more and just getting to know him more. As Deku would ask her what's her past, and Toga would start to get tears in her eyes, and she would just drag Deku somewhere private to talk, as she would give him the whole spiel about her backstory, how her parents hated her for having a villainous quirk, how they would abandon her. Deku would walk over to her, give her a hug, and calm her down as she was crying on his shoulder. Deku would then sit down next to her, telling her his story, as she would cry again, just hugging on to him, and she would just whisper in his ear, "You've had it worse than I've had it, yet you're still standing here. How are you so strong?" As he would just calmly say with a nice, reassuring voice, "I never gave up on my life. I survived, and I tried to survive. And I think you can do the same as well, Toga." She would get a little flustered and still hug on to him, crying her eyes out. As the others would hear her crying, they would just let Deku handle it all. As they cried and sat in that room for an hour, as they came out with red bags under their eyes, showing that they've cried the whole time. Shigaraki asks who the girl is and why are they so slumped over and tired. As Deku would say, "This is my friend Toga, and she wants to join, and we are crying because we talked about something very..." As Deku would pause for a second, saying, personal. Shigaraki didn't understand because he never got the story of Deku's past. Only Kirigiri knows it, and now it's Toga. Days went by, and now it's the USJ. Or no, it's the, weeks went by, and it's the attack on the USJ. Toga had asked if she can come if Deku's going, and Deku asked Kirigiri if he's going. Kirigiri would say, "Yes, you're going to be coming with us. And Toga, you could come as well." She would say, "Yay," and she would jump on the back of Deku, and she would just want him to carry her all the way there. Deku would let out a sigh as he would start patting her on the head as she was just sitting above him, and he asked, "What am I ever going to do with you?" She would get a little flustered and just give him a knock on the head, calling him an idiot. And she would hop down and she'd get ready to go. As Kirigiri watch this, Kirigiri felt like a father watching his son grow up. Kirigiri said, "I'm proud of you, Deku. You changed a lot. Not in a bad way, not in a good way. You're actually starting to feel again, aren't you?" As Deku would get a tear in his eye, saying, "Yeah, I guess I am." So he would walk over to Kirigiri and give him a hug. Kirigiri would hug him back, and Deku would say calmly, "You're like a father to me, Kirigiri." It shocked Kirigiri, but he understood that he never had anyone to call a father in his life, and his mother didn't appreciate him, or his mother didn't take care of him right like she was supposed to. After Kirigiri and Deku stopped their little family hug, I guess you could say, Kirigiri opened up the portal, and all the villains. Alright, let's flash over to Bakugo and see how he's doing. As Bakugo's on the bus ride over, he's sad for the first time. He's thinking about Deku and what he did to him and where he could be at. He's been searching for Izuku, which Deku doesn't know about, but ever since Deku left, Bakugo has been looking for him, wanting to apologize, wanting to make amends for all the wrongs that he's done in his life to make him feel like he still has someone to love, even though he has a new family, and that family is the League of Villains. And everyone knew that Bakugo was always in the dumps, as Kirishima would always try to cheer him up, but to no avail, he always failed. Now back to the USJ attack. As they all warp gated through Kirigiri, all the canon villains walked through. As Aizawa would get his goggles on, say get all the kids to safety 13, and as Kirigiri would warp in front of him, saying not so fast, as Ida would run away to go get the pros. As Shigaraki walked through, behind him was Deku, Toga, and the Nova. Deku and Toga, as they got in, they sat on the floor, as Deku pulled out a deck of cards from his back pocket, asking her if she wanted to play while this was going on. She started chuckling at first, and she said sure, as he pulled out the cards, shuffled it up, and they were starting to play a game of poker. Right then on the floor, during a villain raid in USJ. Same things happen in canon, everyone gets warped away to different places, but this time, instead of Deku being in the boat, Bakugo's there, and All Might gave One for All to Mirio. Not Bakugo like other people would probably want him to have it, but to Mirio. As Bakugo, Sue, and Mineta were on the boat, thinking of a plan, they finally got one together. And they were sitting on the shoreline, as all the villains in the pool were all brought together by Mineta's balls on top of his head. Stupid fucking grape. Anyways, as they were sitting there, Deku and Toga noticed them, and they would wave at them, pretty much saying hi, as Bakugo would break down crying as he noticed Deku just sitting there, playing cards with the villain. As Sue and Mineta noticed this, they ducked down and hid before Shigaraki turned around and noticed them. So this time the Noma doesn't go after Sue, or does to Shigaraki. They just sit there waiting for All Might. As All Might would burst through the doors, just a few minutes later, saying "I am here" with a frown on his face. As he would notice Izuku Midoriya, or Deku just sitting on the floor playing poker, staring at All Might, and another villain just sitting in front of him. As All Might would rush over to Deku, grabbing him by the collar, say, "You're safe now, kid, don't worry, I've got you." As Deku would say, "Are you sure about that?" Grabbing All Might's wrist, bending it straight to where he couldn't move it, and then punching his elbow, pushing it the opposite way of it's supposed to bend, making the bone splinter out of his skin, showing the bone and everything, blood rushing down his arm, as All Might's screaming in pain, just agony and pain as his arm and bone are sticking out. Deku would start laughing maniacally, with an evil, psychotic look on his face. He would say, "Oh, All Might, you should have known. You crushed my fears. You crushed my hopes and dreams months ago." As All Might remembered who the kid was, and he says, "I'm sorry," as he would try to finish saying sorry, Deku got behind him in a flash and snapped his neck right there, leaving All Might to fall on the floor, dead, with blood covering him from his arm. As everyone stopped dead in their tracks, they looked at Deku as he was laughing psychotically, loudly, all over the USJ for everyone in all environments to hear. They all villains and all the UA students and the heroes just looked at him. As Deku was covered in blood, Toga walked up to him and gave him a big hug, telling him to calm down. As he would stop laughing and just give her a hug, saying thank you. I needed that. And she would get a little flustered, but then turn around to Shigaraki, saying, "So, are we going now?" And Shigaraki would grunt yes, as Deku would grab All Might by the hair and just drag him through, dragging him behind him. As Aizawa would try to stop Deku, Deku just turned around with a quick glare at Aizawa, looking right at his eyes, even though he had the goggles on. He knew where Aizawa's eyes were, and he held up his hand, raising up his finger, just swaying it back and forth, saying no, 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 as he would just continue dragging All Might through the portal. As All For One would ask how did it go? As Deku walked through the portal with All Might's body, Deku would say, "I think it went pretty well." As All For One would say, "You know, kid, I really did think you were interesting, and now you've definitely proven me right. Congratulations." As he would say thank you, and he would just leave All Might's body around the floor, Toga dragging him to the next room over to hang out and talk. As Shigaraki would ask All For One, "Did you really know that he was capable of this?" As All For One would say, "No, I thought he was just a normal punk, but it turns out he's more psychotic than we thought. If push comes to shove, get rid of the kid. And get rid of that girl too. They seem to be more attached than I thought." And little did they know that Deku was listening to this, as he would relay it to Toga. That's where I'm going to leave it off, and if you guys have suggestions or something that I should clean up from this episode, leave it in the comments, and yeah, see you next time.